Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our Silver Linings webinar tonight. We've got a great panel with us tonight to share some of the things they've learned during this crazy COVID year. And hopefully it'll help us move into 2021 because we'll be so much more prepared for what's coming, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be a lot easier as well. I've got three panelists, Andrew Thiessen from Thiessen Orchards out near Leamington Way. We've got Janet Cornish from Indian River Acres, and she's near Peterborough area. And Heather Fraser from Wheelbarrow Orchards and Harvest Goodies is from Milton. And we're going to start off tonight with Janet Cornish.
Great, thank you very much. I will just share my screen here. Oh, it does say host disabled participant screen sharing.
Of course it does. So I'm going to make you the host.
Okay.
And we'll see if that fixes that.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Great. I think it worked, Kathy.
Okay, good.
Just let me know if you can see that. Okay. Can you see
it's coming through? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. That's great. Okay. I just thought I'd have some slides to keep me on task here tonight. So I just thought I would share a little bit about some of our silver linings. So thank you very much for inviting me to join tonight. And I just thought I would speak a little bit about our farm first, just to kind of put context for you. We do have a farm. It's a small farm compared to some I know in the OFFMA family. Our name of our farm is Indian River Acres, and we're located 10 kilometers east of Peterborough. So we are along the Trans-Canada Highway, which is highway number 7. That is the artery from Peterborough to Ottawa. And we purchased our farm 10 years ago, 10 years ago, and we really didn't have an idea of the kind of farming we wanted to do. But we decided to be able to access the farm property tax class. We would maybe just, sell some sweet corn, which you are all more than welcome to laugh, because I know many of you would know that you don't just sell sweet corn. In order to grow it, it's quite a lot more work. So it's simply not that easy. But that's how our vegetable stand dream started. And so this is just a little bit of a picture to show. So we started our first year with 2 acres of sweet corn, and we literally just sold out of the back of the pickup truck. You have to turn off of Highway 7 to get to our property. So we thought we could sell on the side of Highway 7, but it was way too busy and way too crazy. So we dreamt up a bit of a stand for the end of our driveway, and we actually stock it multiple times a day. So as the demand for the sweet corn started to grow and people started to learn about us on the way to the cottage, we also have expanded, and now we sell a full line of all sorts of vegetables, garlic, fresh cut flowers, farm fresh eggs. So it is something that we have at the end of our driveway, and we restock multiple times a day. But it is something that usually runs on an honor system, has run in the past on an honor system. But now as our farming interest has grown and our customers have grown, we are now up to 8 acres of sweet corn, 2 acres of fresh cut vegetables, 5 acres of pumpkins. We do a 1/2 acre of garlic, and this is all just my husband and I, and we handpick everything. As I mentioned, we usually we're about an honor system. We're starting to get a little bit too busy now on weekends, but during the week, it allows my husband and I, who we both work off the farm. So when we run the stand, one of us takes holidays from work and runs the stand while the other one is working. So the honor system has really helped. But as we, moved into COVID in early April, we were starting to see that our operation was presented with many challenges. And like many, we were hopeful that this would go away. But by mid-May, we knew this wasn't a possibility. So you can see our stand, as I mentioned, is typically midweek set up for an honor system, but that presents multiple touch points. There's no physical distancing. So if we're down stocking the stand, there's no distancing between customers and us. We were cash only, so there was no contactless payment methods. There was no website, no curbside pickup. So all the things are the terms that became sexy during COVID: curbside pickup, online sales, contactless, was not in a part of our dialect as our previous operation. So that presents me with our first silver lining. Obviously, was a website. We knew we quickly needed to adjust and develop an online presence. So we applied for the provincial grant that was announced the end of April. We actually applied. It was about 2 weeks after it was announced, and we didn't hear back. I saw on the OFFMA Facebook page people getting notice, and I was like, I'm sure we'll probably get some notice about it, but we didn't hear back. And we waited until the middle of June, and we didn't hear back. And we knew we needed to act, even though we knew farms were opening. Pick your own were allowed to open eventually, but we knew we still wanted to operate with a curbside pickup option. So some of the silver linings is my husband and I are not techies at all. And so we actually built our own website because we didn't know if we were going to get the grant. So we quickly became self-taught techies, and we built our own website using the Shopify platform. So we not only now do we have an online presence, but we have online payment through our farm shop, and then we used a curbside pickup app in addition to our farm shop to offer curbside pickup, and it worked really, really well. And not only do we have the online presence now, but we have the analytics from the website to see how people are coming to our website and also their favorite items that they were buying. We produced some signage as well that drove people to our website, and we placed the signage at popular crossroad points from busy campgrounds in our area, and that produced a ton of traffic where people could easily come, swing by the house, pick up their curbside pickup, and head off to their trailer or cottage for the weekend. So that then led to our silver lining number 2, value added products. So with the addition of the website, we now had the curbside pickup, and we started to see many new customers come to us simply because we had the curbside pickup. We had cottagers who were nervous about waiting to stop at their favorite farm stand along the route to the cottage, and they would be sold out. So they were able to purchase from our website at least 2 days in advance and secure their farm fresh produce or their sweet corn that they wanted for the cottage, do the curbside pickup, and take it on the way to the cottage. There were also customers that still didn't want to go into grocery stores. And we did have a lot of customers, elderly customers who were isolating for various health reasons or vulnerabilities that used the curbside pickup option. So they really did like that. And the analytics feature was great because it allowed us to see what kind of products people were buying or clicked on that they liked. So what that allowed us to do is see what the most popular items were or what popular groupings of items would be. And so we started grouping items and creating packages. We did these value added products. So I will show you. So what happened was we used to sell flowers by the stem. You can see we had glads $1 a stem. We had sunflowers $1 a stem. We have zinnias 50 cents a stem. But we had so many people that were either they didn't want to go to a florist, or they didn't want to make another stop, or they just wanted a little treat themselves. We had people who wanted to thank somebody for doing something nice, but they didn't want a baked good for them or bake anything or create a meal. So they just wanted something nice and little. So we started making bouquets by chance So we take all of our flowers and we look and we would add some greenery. And before you know it, we were creating buckets of bouquets that would go out the door every day. We called them the once around the garden bouquet. And so literally we were adding in any kind of greenery. Some bouquets would end up with green tomato greens. Another popular bouquet had green basil or purple basil. And so we were starting to make $5, $10, and $15 bouquets by the end that were quite popular in COVID, that people would buy through the online shop, and they could buy up to 2 days in advance. This then carried over into the fall, and we saw that people really wanted, I always think of fall decor as something that's everybody's own flair. They want to come and pick whether they want something warty or striped, or how they want their colors to look. We quickly found out in COVID, people just want to shop quick and safe, and they just want it to be easy. And so on our online shop, we put together fall packages, and they went very, very well. We had a pumpkin gourd mix, we had an elegant package, and then we had a deluxe package that included all the options, including a fall mum. And so they were a huge success. The third silver lining that I thought I would share, which doesn't come as a surprise, is staffing. So we have our website now, as you know, and we have our curbside pickup zone now. But as I mentioned, my husband and I both work off the farm, and we couldn't run literally two shops. We weren't going to put the stand on an honor system, and we couldn't run the curbside pickup zone without any staff. So we did make modifications to our stand so that we could still have the stand for drop-in customers, but it was much safer, but we needed staffing to do so. So these two pictures don't show it very, very well, but we ended up still using the stand, and we restocked multiple times a day, but we had a rope across where people could come up and they could place their order, and we would pick it off the stand for them and clean our hands so they could see, and then pass over the vegetables, take the money, and or do the payment. And people ended up coming more to us because they said they felt our setup was so safe, and they could see that people weren't picking and choosing through the vegetables. So there weren't any day camps, and there weren't any extracurriculars that were happening. So we were so fortunate to find a couple of teenagers that were willing to help. And we have our children that are getting older now, and they took a huge role at the stand. In fact, our 9-year-old is probably the best garlic salesman I have ever seen. We have 8 varieties of garlic, stemming from spicy hot down to mild. And so people would come and they would tell Lucas what they were doing with the garlic, and he would advise and counsel which garlic would go best with their dish. So that was a huge sales opportunity. But not only was kids down there experiencing the stand and that type of sales, we were down there talking more about our product, which ended up driving more people to us, to our online store and to our stand, because we were sharing the story about our product, and we were sharing the story about how we harvest, and everything's picked by hand. And also what that generated was some business interest because of this small farm feel. And so businesses also contacted us about our decorating packages. And so we were delivering decorating packages to local businesses for their storefronts well into September and October. So the staffing side of things ended up with a huge benefit. And we actually set our hours as 11 to 5 at the stand, which makes you think, oh my goodness, that's a very short window for fresh vegetable selling. But if people wanted to get something outside the hours of 11 to 5, they could order on the online shop, because we did the curbside pickup from 9 to 7. So it was still available. So we had one or the other. I forgot, I also featured a picture of our garlic that our son was helping people with. So lots of benefits to having the staff down there to market and sell the product. So how did it all end? It ended quite well, actually, from a year that we really didn't know how it was going to go off. We ended up doubling the sales at our vegetable stand compared to a normal year. With the introduction of the online store, we were just hoping for 30% sales in comparison to our veggie stand. We actually achieved 50% of those sales, so that was higher than our projections. We have fall decoration packages planned for local businesses for 2021. We have our online shop that actually can continue to sell product after our typical closing day. So we still have a few items on there that people are ordering, and we fully expect to continue the expansion of packages, bouquets, and different decor items into 2021. So that's just a bit about our silver linings for COVID. Thank you so much for inviting me to present.
Excellent, Janet. That's great. I just want to let everyone know there is like a chat section, or if you've got questions you want to ask, it should be at the bottom of your screen. But we're going to save questions until the end. Once everyone's done, we'll get a chance to pose some questions, but you can enter your questions at any point down there. So feel free to put your questions down there, please. Next up is Heather Fraser from Wheelbarrow Orchards and Harvest Goodies. Over to you, Heather.
Well, that was really a great presentation, Janet. I wish I had thought of doing all that picture presentation, because I did not think about it. I'm just here to talk.
That's fine.
So I'll just give you, those people who don't know me, I'll give you a little bit of background. My husband and I used to be dairy farmers, and then we weren't for a while, and then we moved to a small apple orchard. We had about 220 trees when we moved here. And after the first year, I said, well, that was really painful. We worked really hard, and we didn't make very much money. So we needed to plant more trees. So we did. And I said, you know, what we should have is a market that sells some other stuff. And we should make the stuff that we sell. So I found a business. It was called Goodies by Two Shoes. And we purchased that, and we moved their kitchen into our apple storage building, built a kitchen within the apple storage building. And it came with some wholesale customers. So we thought, okay, let's do that. And so every year the business has grown, both the orchard and Harvest Goodies have grown. And now we, I would say we stay busy with Harvest Goodies most of the year. And we have about 2,500 trees, between 2,500 and 3,000 trees. So we've grown the apple orchard. We a couple of years ago started going to farmers markets. It's never been my favorite thing to do, but our son joined our business, and he is very good at selling. So he was going to farmers markets, and we started that at the same time that we started a cider business. So we have a few things, a few oars in the water. And this winter, we've always gone to a winter farmers market, and this year it got closed down. So we started looking around going, well, how are we going to replace that? Well, let's start an online store, and people could do curbside pickup. So our son Pete built the online store, and we started doing curbside pickup, and that was great. It replaced the farmers market, but I think we were trying too hard to be something that we weren't, and we stood back and said, wait a minute, how are we gonna do this? So we slowed down on the, as people started going out more into the as the pandemic progressed, and people got a little braver and were going to the grocery store more, and our sales dropped off a little bit. We took stock and we looked, and at the same time that we were taking stock, Harvest Goodies business was inclining at a rapid rate, because most of our customers are on-farm markets, and on-farm markets were busy this year. So that we stood back and said, okay, what are we going to do here? Let's feed the goose that lays the golden egg, and not try and create another goose over here that might lay an egg, and then again it might not. So we had already last year, we had increased our storage capacity. We had increased our we had built a new shipping and receiving area. We had started to build a bigger walk-in freezer. Well, actually, it was supposed to be a cooler. And then as this year progressed, I said, it has to be a freezer because we just need more produce to work with. So we were in the position to continue with our renovations and make it possible to serve all of the needs that we're expanding because of the growth of the business. It was just every month this year we was more than 40% sales above last year. So that we didn't change a lot. We just put our heads down and worked harder, which we know this year we're not going to be able to keep up that pace. So we're increasing some efficiencies. We're going to keep some of the staff that we've hired extra this year. And I always think we are so blessed when we find staff, because we usually find good ones. And the good staff are the people who have a passion for what we do and take ownership of their tasks and feel responsible for what they do. So we are always so fortunate that the people that we have working for us reflect our passion for what we're doing. So I would say that staffing is definitely a silver lining for us. One of the other silver linings is that our online store helped us understand how to be ready for apple season when it came. So we knew how to handle people coming into the store. We did a lot of looking around at how other people were running their stores, and apple season's it's almost the last product of the year. So we were able to talk to all of our strawberry friends and raspberry and other small fruit growers and got a lot of tips from them. But it also helped put in some protocols that I really wanted to have in place anyway, because I love to have people follow the rules. And if you have a pick your own place, they don't always follow the rules. So this was a year when people, they really didn't have a lot of choice except to follow the rules. But people were, for the most part, understanding, considerate, happy to be out of the house doing something different, because there were so many things they couldn't do. They could go and pick apples, and we just had a lot of happy customers. And we had in the springtime, when we were starting the online store, and people then started coming it was amazing how many people wanted to do some baking. So I said, oh, I have some recipes for some baking mixes that came with the business when I bought the Harvest Goodies. So we started doing dry mixes, and they flew off the shelves, and now they're in a moment of weakness. I said, oh, we should put those on our product and price list and sell them to other people. So now we have a new product line that we're selling, and I guess that's a silver lining. It's increased our need for more production space. So the cider room kind of doubles as a baking kitchen. Our baking sales increased unbelievably this year. I don't even know the numbers on it, but I felt like all I did all fall was make pies. And so that was the short and sweet of our silver linings is our business continued to grow because everybody else's business was growing. And we're so fortunate to be in this industry, in the niche that we're in. And our growth has been phenomenal. Like 40% every month. We've had at least when I look at the new customers that we have this year, the wholesale customers that we have had at least a new store every other week place an order. And most of those stores have placed repeat orders. And with that, like some of our customers that we've had for 12 years, they place an order in the springtime, and that carries them through the rest of the year. All of those customers ordered like 3 or 4 times this year. So it's just the on-farm market business it's just been a busy time for people. And I know that people are working really hard, and they're tired and ready for a break. But so many of them are just, they're looking at it and going, okay, how can we expand? How can we make more of this? And that's, we're doing the same thing. How can we be a better business? How can we be more efficient? How can we look after our customers in a better way? And on the one hand, it's really exciting. On the other hand, it's kind of scary, because where are we going? Where's it? Where's the control? And there is none. We have no idea where things are going to go. We just know that we're going to be ready for whatever happens this year, because we're increasing our efficiencies, and the supply chain has been massively unpredictable this year. When we could get jars, we couldn't get lids. When we could get lids, we couldn't get jars. The small fruit industry, we have always been able to find strawberries from small growers, and this year everybody sold out. So we made some changes, and we've gone with one farm that sells a lot of IQF Ontario fruit, and we've said we just have to make sure we've got the fruit. So we've made those purchases already. So we are prepared to keep in the like everything we use is Ontario fruits and vegetables. So we're continuing to source those out as much as we can. If anybody has rhubarb, we're desperate for rhubarb. And I'm looking for somebody who'd love to peel beets for me. So the silver lining is it's just for us, it's been growth, and it's been new friends, because we consider all of our customers our friends. We get to know them. We do all of our own deliveries. We're excited when somebody wants to be a customer of ours.
Great. Thank you, Heather. Wow, that's phenomenal. Because you were pretty busy before all this stuff, so
Yeah.
I can
It's just
imagine.
the increased efficiency, hopefully, and a couple of new staff people will keep me from being the only one who's getting anything done.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we'll move on to Andrew, who I have lost the picture of here. I'm not sure why.
I turned it off, but I can
Okay.
turn it on. Well, thanks for having me. Good job, Janet and Heather. Appreciate your info. It's interesting to see how you guys have adapted and I guess made sense of this crazy year. We a brief background about Thiessen's. We're a pick your own apple and pumpkin and activity farm starting in September after Labor Day, right through till Halloween. So we're a 2-month, 8-week season, and we do corn maze and a fun area and some haunting on the farm as some activities. I think it's important for you to know as I go through this that our revenues are comprised of 45% of our income is from our apple and pumpkin sales. 25% of our income is from activities on the farm. And another 25% comes from our food service. So we do kind of fall food service here, apple fritters and apple pies and so on. And then another 5% comes from kind of miscellaneous gourds and hay bales and different things. So I think that's important to know. And then along with that, we're also a year-round full service retail florist. So my wife runs a florist shop. So we're into the wedding business in the summer pretty substantially, which was affected this year dramatically. There were no weddings. So we were exposed to the COVID kind of issues starting in the flower shop already back in May. We had to close our business, the flower shop, for 6 weeks, starting the middle of March till the end of April. And then we opened up in May for kind of curbside and delivery orders through the flower shop and for Mother's Day. So we really had, we got thrown into the fire with Mother's Day is a real busy season for us at the flower shop, but weren't able to open to the public. So we really had to adapt quickly and learn, curbside and increase our phone system and be able to take orders over the phone. And so it really gave us a good kind of preparation on what, we could expect in the fall. We did take advantage of, some of the government subsidy stuff. We started a website we had a website in the flower shop, but we actually started selling online. We weren't selling online in the flower shop prior to COVID, but it forced us into that, which was a great thing for us. It really has helped our business adapt. So that's kind of a little bit of the background of, our farm and our business. Obviously going into the fall, we had some major concerns, can we be open to the public? We weren't sure in the summertime, in May and June and July, we're already heavily invested with this farm and producing the crop and organizing and buying inventory and getting ready to open, but we weren't even sure we could open. We were in stage 2, hoping to be in stage 3 by the time we opened. And with stage 3, we kind of had a rough idea what we could and couldn't do. So we were hoping for the best. We were planning for the worst. And we did get into stage 3, and I think it was the middle of August. So at that point, I was confident we would be allowed to open to the public. But, another concern, how many people could be on the farm at one time? Do we have to limit the capacity? Do we have to collect the names or an email and a cell number, for contact tracing. So we weren't entirely sure what to expect. I had a few phone calls into the health department. I had emails into the health department looking for some direction with no response. So I was kind of, making decisions based on information that I was reading, what I was, experiencing in our flower shop. And it was very stressful. It was a tough summer, are we going to have to sanitize? We had a lot of questions. Can we operate our wagon rides? Can we operate our barn, our haunted barn, our corn maze? So if we can, how do we keep it clean and safe? So on and on. I can go on, and I'm sure you all had a lot of this, unknown you were trying to deal with. So we basically assumed we could be open. We made some assumptions that we would likely have to collect names and a cell phone or an email for contact tracing. And we went with that philosophy. So I would say silver lining number one for us, we were able to be open, and the people that attended the farm, the majority of our guests, they were actually very happy that we were open, and were very, appreciative of the work we had done. They could see, we had implemented a lot of extra sanitizing areas. We had separated, lineups if there were any. We kept them spaced out. We had more sinks. We had more porta-johns. So I think our guests could see we were invested in keeping people safe and our staff safe. So I think that was a good silver lining for us. It makes you feel good when your customers are telling you, wow, great job. And we're really happy you're open and we can be here. Because let's face it, I think we were one of a few options that people could come and participate outdoors with their families and have some fun. So, that made us feel good about what we're doing, and gave us some confidence that, yes, we need to be open. People want us to be open. And we were happy to be open. So I'd say another silver lining we had was there were more college aged students available for us, because there were no college sports. There were no extracurricular activities for a lot of people. So we actually had more people apply to work for us than we'd ever had in the past. And we had a lot of good quality people apply to help us out this fall. And that really was a silver lining for us. It kind of invigorated us. And next year I'm gonna make a better effort to, post some job information at the local college, and try and get some of these, I call them older students. They can drive, they can get to the job themselves. They're probably a little more reliable. We do hire, 14 years and up, and sometimes the younger students can be a little more challenging to, I guess, to work with. But all in all, we had a great staff. We had a good crew of people, and the season did go fairly smoothly. So based on some of these decisions we were making, I decided with my wife that I think we needed to charge admission this year to cover some of these unknowns at the farm. So one of the unknowns was, how many extra staff are we going to need to keep this place safe? How much extra cost is it going to be with sanitization and staff to keep things clean and wiped down, assuming we can be open and assuming we can do most of our activities. And so in the middle of August, we decided to switch from, typically we were just selling activity kind of tickets or stamps to whoever wanted to participate in the activities, to a full-scale admission, pay before you enter the farm to pick apples and enjoy the activities. So that for us was a huge silver lining. We had been contemplating admission for a number of years and weren't sure kind of how to rip that Band-Aid off and implement admission, knowing, you know, there would be a fair bit of pushback from our guests, especially, you know, being around for 35 plus years in the area and not charging an admission to the farm. We knew there was going to be a fair bit of our returning guests that have been coming for years, you know, 20 plus years, and questioning why admission. So we had a great reason to blame it on this year. And so we took advantage of it and we switched to admission. With admission came, you know, having to sign in and contact tracing. And then along with that came an online ticketing and admission sales, and actually Apple sales online. People could buy their admission, they could buy their bags for picking prior to arriving at the farm. So it really forced us to get, you know, up to speed on our website, get selling online, which I think in the future is going to be a huge advantage for us to start selling admissions and even Apple bag sales prior to the season even opening. So, you know, when the cash flows are light in July and August, we can start selling these things to our guests and getting some cash into the farm even before we open, which will make a substantial difference with cash flow for us. So we're really excited about that. We're excited. Admission allowed us to count attendance. It allowed us to, you know exactly now how many people were coming to the farm on a daily basis, on a sunny day, on a rainy day. It's really going to let us plan our staffing better, plan for our inventory needs, you know, for that weekend. If we see the weather's nice and it's mid-October, we know, you know, we can basically guess our sales, you know, within probably, you know, a couple percent for that day based on what I've learned this year on admission. So that's another silver lining, is this online sales. We're really excited about that. It gets us kind of in tune with the market better. We can make a lot better decisions financially moving forward. So I would say another silver lining for us is the health department did end up finally getting back to me, but it was because they wanted to come and talk to us about some complaints they had from the community. So as soon as there's a complaint, the health department has to respond. So I knew the health department would show up at some point, which was one of my major concerns. You know, are they going to shut us down? Are they going to force us into limited capacity? Which, by the way, was another reason for admission in this online ticketing, was I had the ability, if needed, I could move to online admission only, and you could only show up at the farm if you had a ticket. That was kind of one of my other main reasons for admission, was this online ability to control attendance and who's at the farm. So that's kind of a sidebar for that. So we ended up having the health department out 4 times. We did get to build a relationship with them. They were questioning everything we were doing. We were doing everything as best we could, and in their opinion, we were doing everything we could to keep the farm safe. And in their opinion, we were operating within the guidelines of the COVID guidelines to reopen. So that was great to see. It also created the situation where we had the OPP out 4 times as well throughout the season, and also the local bylaw enforcement. So it did get us the ability, you know, to have a rapport with our local bylaw, police, and health department, which I think is going to be a good thing moving forward. It really is. I'd always tried to avoid the health department, and I mean, we get inspected in our food service, but always kind of, you know, I guess didn't be proactive. I was kind of reactive, and now my mindset has changed. It's better to be proactive and get them involved and have all your ducks in a row for when you do open, that everything's certified and good to go. So that was a silver lining. one of our major concerns before we opened as well is we do a fair bit of school tours during the week. And I was concerned about how are we going to make up for the school tour business losses. And because I knew we wouldn't have school tours out just based on the environment and what the school board was saying. So, and that ended up actually being a blessing in disguise. We were a lot busier during the week this season. Our weekly business was up substantially. And I don't think we would have been able to handle the school tours plus all of the extra business that we were getting during the week. So I think that was a bit of a silver lining. We're kind of questioning, maybe school tours we have to modify moving forward. And I think we'll do school tours moving forward, but maybe more of a controlled, less crazy, less, we always tried to cram in as many schools as we could. And, I don't know, the school tour business was busy and crazy. And when the schools left, it was a sigh of relief at the end of that, mid-afternoon. But I think moving forward, we'll probably operate our school tour business much differently and book less school tours in a day, maybe raise price a bit and have it more controlled, and then try and keep the weekday business growing, or encourage more weekday business somehow, because I think it does take the pressure off the weekends a bit. We don't have as many people coming on the weekend if there's busier weekdays. You should know we only charge admission on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then Thursday and Friday was a cheaper rate than on the weekends as well in this formula. So we didn't charge admission Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And there's going to be some discussion around, do we charge admission next year, Thursday and Friday or not? We don't know yet, but we got a lot to think about this winter. But anyway, the school tour thing was a silver lining in a few regards. So I think moving forward, now that we know on a busy day this year how many people we had at the farm, I think we'll consider limiting attendance on our peak weekends. I know our farm can only handle probably about 26 or 2,700 people based on what I learned this year, but I could never answer that question in the past because I'd never counted. So we're comfortable at about 2,500 people, and it starts getting a little more stressful once we get above that number. So less, there's not as much parking available. There's more lineups and on and on. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. So that was really a really great thing with being able to count people in and out and know exactly how many people are coming on a busy day. So another silver lining, in our opinion, was we do a snack area. So it's like kind of popcorn and kettle corn and caramel apples and whatnot. And we set it up as a one-way in and a one-way out. So, entrance and exit, and you kind of had to follow some flow through the area. And I really think that enticed people to kind of, check out the different areas of the snack area. And I think it increased their buy through that area. So, they might only have come in before, because they could come in from, say, 3 different areas and just grab a caramel apple or grab a bag of kettle corn. But when we forced them in an entrance and out an exit, they walked past the cider, they walked past the caramel apples and the kettle corn and the candy. So they saw more of what we were offering. And that impulse buy, and I think encouraged them to buy more. And our average ticket was up in our snack sales. So that was a definite improvement. And then along with that came the ability. So we started this years ago, but we noticed this year, we do apple fritters, and we'll put 3 fritters in a pie, in a kind of a plastic clamshell, I call it. And they fly off the shelves when they can grab and go. So we started doing that with caramel apples, and our caramel apple sales went up. We started doing that with what else did we put in a clamshell? anyway, we put a few other items in clamshells so people could grab and go. And once you do that and they have the ability to grab it and take it home with them, you know, you can bank on doubling your sales on that item. It's really impressive. So that was exciting. Great learning, you know, silver lining from COVID. I'd say another silver lining was we overstaffed our day by 2 people, and the reasoning was we weren't sure, you know, how busy we were going to be, and so we decided to have 2 extra students available for mainly sanitization. But at the end of the day, you know, they were needed in other areas. You know, say someone called in sick, or certain areas are busier at certain times of the day. So admissions is busier, you know, at 11 till 1 in the afternoon, and then admissions aren't as busy from, you know, say 3 to 5. So we could move these extra people into the areas that got busier depending on what, you know, what was busy at the time of day. So that was actually really handy for us. And whoever wasn't busy at any time, there was always sanitizing to do, you know, or empty the garbages, you know, just to keep the farm looking and feeling safe and clean. So I think moving forward, we will make a better effort, you know, to keep the farm looking as clean as it looks, you know, when you open at 10 in the morning. It should look that clean by the time you close at the end of the day. So is it a little more costly? Yes, but I think the guest experience is really improved, and the overall perception of how we run the farm, you know, goes up a level based on the guest perception of how we operate. So, and again, the sanitizing side of the farm this year was huge. It was a lot of extra work, and I think moving forward, we're gonna do a better job of keeping like I've mentioned, keeping the farm clean, but also keeping things sanitized and just overall looking and looking better for our guests. So that's kind of where we fell in this fall. We had a great season, as one of our better seasons we've ever had. It was a lot more stress than we've ever had, but you know, we learned a lot, and we're excited to move forward and hopefully move into a year where this virus gets under control and we can kind of get back to normal.
Great. Thank you very much, Andrew. That sounds really quite positive. I know it was stressful because of all the unknowns, but in the end, it sounds like you've made a lot of good changes for the future. I'm going to remind all our participants, please put your questions down into the bottom of the page. There's a Q&A section. I've got a couple of things here I want to ask a few of our people. Andrew, can you share with us what platform you used for your admissions? Do you know?
Yes.
What you guys were using?
Yeah, so we started working with a company called Ticket Spice. So they're a company that takes, what did they take? They take 80 cents. They take a portion of your sale, and you can choose to pass that on to your customer or not. I chose to not pass it on this year just to kind of get started with it, but it's called Ticket Spice. Really great to work with. They have a really great team of people willing and able to get you set up and online. But I did find with certain items, they weren't as good to work with. So we actually built on our own website, you know, sales of our food items and our apple bags. Once I started working with them, I realized they're good with it. They're good with ticketing and admission or selling tickets for an event. But outside of that, I found it difficult to, it's kind of hard to explain, but they couldn't charge tax on, you had to basically charge tax or not charge tax. And if you're selling apples, we're not charging tax, but if we're selling an admission ticket, we are. So there was some of that, but really, really great company to work with. I'd highly recommend to talk to them if you're thinking about it.
Okay, Great, thank you. Heather, could you share with us you mentioned that you were looking at building in a lot of efficiencies to make 2021 go better. Can you share a couple of those efficiencies that you're looking at?
So in Harvest Goodies, we spend, it seems like we spend a lot of time looking for and bringing in ingredients. So we're buying in larger quantities now. So we'll be buying sugar by the skid now, as opposed to 10, 20 bags at a time. We already have, we've switched from buying jugs of oil to we have an oil delivery. It's just like when the propane guy comes to fill up your propane tank, the canola truck comes and fills up our canola tank. We're making it possible we're taking part of our market for the winter time and making it into storage, so we can make a lot of our cooked products that have a good shelf life and store them. Like we'll make, instead of saying, oh, let's have a couple of batches of jam, of every kind of jam on the shelf, we're going to have more than that. So January and February in our kitchen has always been, well, if you feel like coming into work, you can come into work and get a couple things done. But this year it's going to be, we're going to be working 4 or 5 days a week and trying to build our stock up so that when we get to April and everybody's markets are opening up again, although we do have some year-round customers, but April is always the beginning. There's that trickle, some of our customers are opening and starting to stock their shelves again. Then hopefully the only thing we're going to have to make, not the only thing, but the bulk of what we'll be doing in April and May will be salad dressings, as opposed to having to cook products as well. So we're trying to work more in the wintertime so that in the summertime we're not slammed when we're trying to bring off fresh produce that like some of the things we make, you can only make when those products are fresh. Like asparagus, anything with asparagus in it, we make it during asparagus season. Anything with, garlic scapes, we just have to get them in, get them cleaned, and like we use a pile of garlic scapes. So we have to process them and make sure we've got enough to last us for the year. So we're just trying to get ahead in some of our production, and that means that I have to make sure I've got my jars ordered. I've got to make sure we've got the secondary ingredients in a good supply and in a more manageable supply as well. Like I don't use a food service company for sugar because they just charge too much. So I found a supplier who can sell me sugar by the skid, and we can go and pick up 2 or 3 skids and have it available. So
okay,
those are the efficiencies for Harvest Goodies, and the efficiencies in the orchard are just making sure that things get done ahead of time and not. I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but when you're opening up your market for your season, you all year long are going, yeah, we're going to be ready for that. We're going to be ready for that. And then the week before, you're scrambling around making sure that everything's done. This year, it's going to be different. I know it's going to be different.
Great. Oh, Darn, I had a question there for Janet and it disappeared. Deb had a question for Janet around, did you see that question, Janet? It was around
I
your
just typed an
inventory.
answer.
Sorry?
Yeah, I just typed her an answer, but I
Oh.
thought I said that I might elaborate more if I got the mic. It was around inventories, and I will agree the fresh produce, running the inventories was very difficult. It was very challenging. I'm happy to say that only once we had to contact a customer and say that we were out of what they had ordered. I think more so we were more cautious, but then that meant at the end of the day, we were having stuff left over, and you never really want that either. So I was adjusting inventories sometimes multiple times a day. So we started with very cautious numbers. And then once we started to see how the online system was going to do, then we got a little more, open with our inventories. But actually, to be honest, the ones that I found the most difficult for us were the beans. And you know, having the right amount of beans ready, and how much do we put at the stand that would sell down there. And so what I did was I put a lot of different varieties of beans. Like we had purple, green, yellow, and then I did mixtures, all sorts of different mixtures. So even though my inventories on each variety were quite low, I had a lot of beans online, and typically people would, it didn't matter what kind of bean, they typically just wanted a bean. So they would go with a yellow and green mix, or they'd go with a yellow and purple mix. If I was out of inventories on the other side, on the kind that they wanted. But for fresh produce, we only felt comfortable doing 2 days in advance inventories. And then once we got into the fall produce, we opened it up to 5, which we could have done more, but 5 allowed us to modify a little bit as needed. But it is really challenging. It's not like t-shirts that you have 400 in stock and they'll last forever in a warehouse. It's pretty challenging.
That's right. Yep, for sure. Any other questions from anybody to any of our participants? I thought it was really interesting hearing from all of you. I think you each had different, even though the orchards were a similar product, but you each have very different businesses. So I found it really interesting to hear from you, from all of you. There's a question from Shirley. What type of curbside pickup did you do? Are you talking, who are you asking, Shirley? Anyone in particular? I think we had all 3 of the panelists had curbside pickup. So would you like to comment to that, Andrew?
Yeah, I can comment. Our curbside at the orchard was obviously bags of apples, but we also did some of our food service. So we do Mennonite sausage on a bun, but we'll actually sell that sausage frozen so people can take it home and cook it. So we did Mennonite sausage by the pound. We did apples. We did caramel apples in a clamshell. We did apple fritters, 3 apple fritters in a clamshell, cider, curbside. Anything cooked or hot, we did not do curbside. I'd say those were the main ones. Probably the apple pie went home curbside. So yeah, basically anything we could put in a clamshell that didn't need to be kept hot or cold. I mean, other than the frozen sausage, but they'd get that home and put it in the freezer. So.
Okay, anyone else want to chime in on that?
I just looked at she said, were curbsides outside? When we started our curbside pickup, we did, customers would let us know they were there by calling us, or usually we were looking out the window and seeing people pull in, but they would let us know that they were there, and we had boxed up their orders and we would take them outside We had a couple of short apple bins that we set them on top of, and so people would come, and if they had their own container, they would remove things from the boxes and put them in their containers and then carry their things home. A lot of people were happy to take a cardboard box that we had already packaged things in. And we were selling a lot of Harvest Goodies products, baked, frozen pies. We buy in free range eggs and sell them they're inspected. We don't, so we were selling a variety of different food groups to people, and but during apple season, we didn't do a lot of curbside pickup, but people would call from the parking lot. If they were uncomfortable, they would call from the parking lot, and we would carry their orders out to their car for them. Bags of apples, and mostly it was bags of apples by that time of the year, that they just wanted their apples or their cider. And now some customers are moving back to they'd like a curbside pickup, and again, we'll carry it outside for them if they're uncomfortable coming into the store, and they just pick it up and put it in their car and off they go.
So how about just generally next year? What are your thoughts? You're going to keep everything in place?
Keep the rules.
Well, I think here we will continue to do curbside pickup for those who want it. We are doing, people still order online and then come in. Most of the time they get in the store and they're buying something, they're picking up other stuff anyway. So, but mostly if they're doing an online order, they park, they come into the store and they pick it up, and they're happy to not have to think about what they need. They just run in and pick it up and go. So I think that that's something that we will keep in place, because it just makes things easier for customers. And if customers are finding it an easy, fuss-free experience, they'll come back. And that's, that's the name of the game, is customer service, and making sure that they're getting what they expect, because then they'll go and they'll tell their friends about it. So it's probably something that we'll continue to do.
How about Janet? How about you? Are you gonna keep all? You guys seem to grow exponentially with a new website, new online store. You gonna keep all that?
Yeah, well, I don't think the public health measures will go away anytime soon. So I think we'll have to keep some measures in place, but I think even despite COVID, after COVID, we'll keep the online store for sure. I think the curbside pickup was a great addition, and definitely the packages were flying off the shelf. So I think there's a lot of positives to stay.
Great, good. Andrew, anything? You're going to keep your admissions? Admissions seem to be a big issue for you guys, but it sounds like it went not too bad.
Yeah, admissions was, it was well worth it. The pushback was minimal. There was some, I didn't mention it, but we actually hired 2 extra staff, in their 40s, ladies who were outgoing and able to communicate well with every guest that approached the admissions area. They were informing them of, first of all, of COVID safety and procedure, but also saying, you know what, it's new this year, it's admission, and kind of did a positive spin on it, as in, once you pay admission and you're in the farm, you don't really have to get your wallet out again, as far as, activities are concerned. So well worth it. It's definitely something we're going to continue with. It really, at the end of the day, it wasn't wasn't as bad as I thought, and the revenue was substantially higher from admission versus just selling activities to people that want to do activities versus collecting an admission to every guest that comes through. It's a substantial difference in income. So it will continue. There will still be backlash next year. I know that, but eventually I think, that backlash or pushback will kind of wear off. And it really allows us to invest more into the farm and do a better job of providing a better experience.
Great. Well, our hour is up. I think we'll wrap up now. This is being recorded, so if anyone wants to share it with other members of their family or some of their staff, perhaps, for ideas, I will get it up. It'll be on the OFFMA YouTube channel. I want to thank our panelists this evening. Thank you very much for taking the time to come on and share what you've learned this past year. I think it was very informative to everyone. So I really appreciate you doing that. And I hope you all get a chance to relax a little bit over the holiday season and try and keep things simple, because we're not going to be going anywhere. We're just going to be staying at home and having our turkey by ourselves. So thanks again. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again, Kathy, for organizing.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kathy.